What's good, everybody? Welcome back to some more painting today. I know I didn't do a painting for this guy here. I just wasn't, I don't know, was not feeling super inspired. I did do a little bit, I've got a different angle here. Hopefully this is gonna work better, but I can actually see a little bit better what I'm showing you guys. But I did a tiny little bit of airbrushing on the blue and just a little bit on the shoulder. I was hesitant to go heavier than this just because I was pretty happy with how this dude came out, all things considered. They're all based. Just kind of put them in this like autumn stuff, same as I did for my Stormcast, oddly. And then I went through and added some blood on the swords and on the shields. I didn't want to go super overkill on the shields just because that seems kind of hit or miss, to be honest. This guy's done. And this is the War Surgeon. I still might go back and do something with the eyes just because model looks incredibly plain. And I'm sure there's some layering I could do on the black other than just the speed paint. I just don't know what it is. I wouldn't even know where to start. So I'm not going to touch that. Sorry, I'm just checking the stuff over here. Saying no data, but everything looks good, so unsure what that was. But today's task at hand, take this off, is we're going to repaint this Obi Wan because I painted him a while back. I hated it. I bought like a pre-owned lot, and his arm was like, let's see if I can show this. So this was more like over here. It was like crossing over his forearm, and it just always bugged me. And like, I don't know, it just looked really stupid. So his arm didn't want to fully separate at the elbow, but we got it mostly separated and reattached in a little bit more of like a natural stance. So hopefully that'll look better. I've got just a couple, I've got a little bit of a dilemma, I guess, with what I want to paint him with. I think I'm going to Holy White the white bits and then known oil over them. The robes, though, originally I used a pallid bone, and I thought that was pretty close, but the more I looked at it, it felt a little cartoony, I guess, which is ironic, but sorry, I'm just cleaning out my little paint foot. Which we'll just use the top end for today. But I also don't hate this color with the known oil over it. And that's arguably a little brown. That's almost more like episode 3 than episode, or like the Clone Wars. Which I wish they would have just made an episode 3 model. I know that that's coming, but so I might just go, I'm tempted just to go bone white with known oil over it. I don't know yet. I feel like I kind of need to start with that. Let me pull up what color his undershirt is supposed to be, actually, because I don't remember off the top of my head. Let's see. Black. It is black. Okay, so he's just wearing like a clone undersuit or something. A little weird, but all right. Yes. Sorry. So, are his pants also black? undershirt is definitely black. And his pants are also black. Huh. Okay. I was also tempted to go bony matter, which I don't have on this. And actually, I think I will just start bony matter on his jacket or his robes, because if I don't like it, I could easily cover that up. But if I don't like the acrylic, I can't get back the zenithal, which I did do a zenithal over this dude. I don't know if I'm doing it correctly. And then I did a little bit of light airbrushing on the bottom edges just to lighten up the bottom edge of the white, because I am going to go over that. I also did get a new airbrush, the Iwata Eclipse. It is kind of surreal, I guess. I zenithaled over this dude, and the like smoothness of the coverage, even using the same kind of shitty paint compared to like just the cheap crap that I've been using, is kind of wild. So that's pretty cool. Anyways, I'm half tempted to go like 50-50 in this, just to lighten up this bony matter just a smidge, because it should be a little bit more of like a vanilla, but I don't like just this color. So I could go, I think I'm going to go, I kind of want to go 50-50, but then I almost feel like this dark color is going to overtake this bone color, but I'm hesitant to go like 2 drops of the bone, or of the bone and 1 drop of the bony matter, but let's test a little bit. This is 1 and 1. And we'll just paint a little bit on the base, because the base is mostly white anyways. And both of these colors behave pretty well, so I'm not worried about mixing them really. Kind of seems alright, actually. I'm kind of you know what? We're just gonna send it with this color, I think. We're just gonna go 50-50. I end up needing to mix up more of this, so I guess before I do that, just in case I drip more than I want. Pallid bone drip was what looked like probably 3 drips, so 2 little ones. Hopefully that will be all right. Rinse it. We'll start little middle flat the same color. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, we'll just start right in the middle. Another thing I noticed is very weird with speed paints is sometimes, like, you know, you put the brush in for like a split second, you've got so much kind of like in your brush that it just wants to pool everywhere. I want it to a little here, and it's not cooperating. Sometimes I feel like you submerge these things and it's like, I don't want to give you any paint to work with. Probably a me problem, but try to keep this a little more upright if I can help it. Don't know if this ended up with as much of that bony matter color in it as I wanted, but this is definitely a little more subdued than just straight pallid bone, which is still okay. Trying to pull a little bit of this excess away before it really sets and messes this up, while I still have a little bit of time to soften that a bit harsh. Yeah, I mean, part of it is the zenithal just because it was facing, but that color difference between the middle and the rest of it is a bit much. But, you know, worst case, we will go back over this with a different color. But that's part of why we're starting with it. think that is kind of part of figuring out how to make these speed paints look a little more natural, is getting rid of some of these more aggressive pooling spots. Because just like kind of like a wash, if you just kind of put it all over and just let it sit, it pulls quite a bit in some spots if you're not careful, and you end up with some like it's very obvious what it is. Versus, I'm trying to find an example while that's set. Most of this was just black. Well, like, this is kind of a good example on this leather pouch where it's like a good amount of dark shadowing, like right around the lid or like the flap of the bag on the top. It looks pretty natural. Whereas if you weren't paying attention and half of that was dark and half of it wasn't, versus like a gradient from the bottom up, it would look really, really weird. More of an issue over larger surfaces. Some colors do better than others. I mean, like this red, that's just straight speed paint with nothing else on it, and it came out pretty good. I'm trying to kind of figure out how to mix speed paints with other things to make it look a little more natural, because I don't know, I feel there's something about speed paints on some things that it looks almost like invisible, or like it looks transparent, which is a stupid statement because that's what it's supposed to look like, but it looks like paint over a white figure. It's like you're not getting full opacity of the colors, if that makes sense. Which I think that's kind of a mental thing, because like this purple, I mean, yeah, I did a little bit of dry brushing. But like, it just looks like a purple cape. It wouldn't look any different if I used just straight paint and washed and then dry brushed. So I'm not entirely sure what that's about, but yeah, see, I don't like some of this. I do, however, think that that is a better color than it was. Just kind of ever so slightly toned down a little. I think I can live with that. I mean, this isn't a terrible representation of kind of what this figure is going to look like, just because of the white armor. I think that's okay. I'm almost tempted to do the, well, I didn't even bother trying to do the shoulder icon before. I might I have such shaky hands, but I might try to do that. Face is another kind of weird spot, in his belt. But I'm tempted, if I just do a Nolan oil wash over the white, if it'll kind of recess shade enough of these black, but I'm still gonna have to paint his hands and stuff, I guess. So I guess let's do, actually, I think there's some fabric on the belt I need to hit, at least around the front half where you can see it while I have this color. Just gonna hit this. Real quick. Also got one of these cheap little water dispensers from like Amazon. And it was like $8. It's kind of like a joke, but I actually love having it, not gonna lie. Makes having like clean water on demand way quicker. Check something real quick. What did I say? I'm not gonna bother with that. Okay. Oh, I guess his belt is kind of all a dark brown, so I could just go back over that. Granted, you only see so much of it. And kind of all the same brown, so it's all gonna get kind of lost. Trying to find a good reference for his belt. All a dark brown, kind of more of a rich red on his pouches. Yeah, that didn't really help. Especially because that is definitely from episode 3 and not this. Not gonna bother hitting the bottom edge of that right now because I just don't care. Now for the part I just don't like at all. Doing black lines. Especially because I feel like I can't ever keep a good point on the brush and actually get paint in here. For speed paint, it's almost like it needs to be really watery, you know? Yeah. And thankfully, with this, I kind of just need, I don't need it to be perfect. Just kind of need to infer where the dark spots are, and the Nolan oil will help, I think, quite a bit. And go ahead and try to tackle this spot on his chest. Also find myself getting lost in the reflections of wet paint. You know, and trying to gauge like how close I am to something, or how far away I am to something, or if I'm even touching the thing that I'm trying to paint. That gets me pretty often. Also, ever since I did that battle report stream, I've noticed this autofocusing, which I don't understand. It definitely wasn't doing that before. So, that's nice, I guess. Wish it wouldn't have made my life so difficult for the first two streams. Trying to make this as relatively clean in some spots as I can. Just because if I'm going to repaint this, I might as well make it better. But there are some spots, like down on the feet, I'm just not super worried about. But this arm is kind of a main thing. Sculpt. Oh, definitely got a little lost here. Gonna kind of put a line in here, I think. I think I can live with that kind of weird point because it is a shaped piece. Apologize if I'm blocking some of this. And I've got pretty shaky hands most of the time, so I have to try to stabilize this as best I can. That arm is mostly hit. I paint his hand. weird spots on its fingers, but I don't know if that's just because it's drying currently or what the deal is with that, but we'll come back to it if need be. Do we need black around his collar? No, it is all white. Okay. All white. Okay, music. Yeah, I watched it for 2 seconds. Thank you. Example of getting lost in the reflections. And obviously in this kind of area, I'm not using the speed paints for anything that the speed paint does. I'm just strictly darkening that area because it's so dark anyways. From the zenithal, I'm not worried about, you know, getting all those shades, I guess. This is strictly getting color where it needs to go. And there are some rough spots where I couldn't quite get all the paint off. Elbow kind of being one of them, to be honest. But that's alright. Up close stuff anyway, so, you know, not ever gonna see that that is a little rough. And obviously, as always, I have not decided if I want to do any OSL from the lightsaber. Because historically, with lightsabers, because it's just like so much, it doesn't ever turn out good. Like Vader, because he's all black, I feel like it looks pretty good. But like having blue glow over these colors, I don't know. I tried it the first time I painted him. I didn't have a ton of success. So probably will not go down that route again. But I will do his lightsaber with the white base, the way that I have been doing them. Of his hand. Barely a hand, it looks like. think it's my operative Luke. I think he's got an extra like hand sculpted onto the lightsaber. It's real weird, and it is hard to paint because you can't really tell what you're painting. But it definitely looks like another like set of fingers almost, and it's not just like the little ridge bits of the hilt. It is very confusing to look at. Yeah, stuff like this, I don't know if I spend too much time trying to like reach, or if I should just ignore it. I feel like the routes I would need to go to reach it, I can't see it. It's just gonna have to do, pig. Okay. Oh, I need to try to get his pants. That's right. There are a bunch of wacky sounds going on. Dogs sneezing and shaking around and causing a nuisance. I'm doing this with very little paint. I don't want it to spill onto anything else. Okay. So I think that is all the black. There is no way in hell that that icon on his shoulder is gonna come out. I just find it. Not good at freehanding anything. But we're gonna try. I didn't try before. A bad reference. Burgundy, I don't ever, like I don't have a good brush, a good tip to do it. And I can't ever mix the paint correctly for it to stay. Try. to do this first. That way I could do the on oil over it. Also, guess it'd help if I remember what colors make burgundy. It was like something weird. Yeah, red and blue. Red and blue make purples, but you had the purple to make burgundy. Green? Yeah. Whatever you say, internet. And it just looks like a lighter green or purple. I'd be lying if I said this is also part of the reason why I don't paint with regular acrylics, because I just don't have the colors. We might have it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That'll work. My ratios were just off. We're seeing more red. This nice and cleaned out. Also trying to keep an eye on the microphones because I need to charge these fellas. Oh God. Paint's also not super thick to begin with, but like, I think it's better to oh, this is gonna go horribly wrong. And then I'm gonna have to try to mix a white to match, and it'll be a disaster. We'll try this brush. Why the hell not? Get a little bit of water in this guy. What's up, cat? Yeah, the barriers. That's kind of one of those things I put a lot of, or too little effort into the first go round. So I've got like a set that's painted up nice and Tatooine-y, and then I've got a set that's painted up like just terribly. Actually, I've been working on repainting a bunch of stuff. I brought a bag of some stuff for some of the other games back up here to repaint after we moved. But yeah, I need to get back around to the barricades and give the like kind of standard Imperial gray a little bit more attention, if you will. Yeah, I have a lot of my Rebels. I've kind of been going back painting. Uh, I left my original set of Stormtroopers and Rebel Troopers as they were, just because I think it's kind of interesting to see the first things I painted. This is another kind of issue is it's like not being able to keep a good tip and have enough paint in the brush. So ooh. Yeah, I started with a full set, not a full set, but a very almost the full set. It was one of the larger sets. I got a starter set of the speed paints, um, and those were pretty good. And it kind of like changed my whole like mood, I guess, or like outlook. I was like, oh shit, okay, I've got an avenue to take here. And I bought one of the bigger sets, so that's what I'm working with. So I've got most of the speed paints, and then I've got a handful of like the game color. I picked up various other colors here and there. Uh, but the speed paints are still a huge part of what I got. Um, so I guess what I have gotten, uh, what I started with was the so we played off and on for maybe a year and a half, maybe at this point. And that's the first tabletop game that I ever played. First time I'd ever painted anything. Um, but I got the Civil War core set, and that's what we played with for the first like 2 games or so until we kind of started figuring it out. And then we got, I think I picked up Blizzard Force. Maybe before that, I bought like a box of Shore Troopers or something like that. Um, I don't know. I bought so much stuff for Legion at this rate. My main faction at this point is the Republic right now. I own the most for Empire, but I am I'm a sucker for the Clone Wars. So the Empire, as much of it as I have, is not my go-to thing. Okay, well, there's a line. That's something, I guess. Yeah, I think what Play on Tabletop did something like that, and I was like, you know what? I kind of like that better because I like putting in a lot of kind of time and effort into the board that we're playing on. You can see one of them in the first kind of live battle report type thing that we did. So having the clear bases, so it's a little bit more universal and immersive would have been kind of cool, but Okay, we've got a basis of a shape, something. Yeah, if you haven't seen any of the battle reports from Play on Tabletop for Star Wars Legion, it didn't start out that way, but I know like some of their the more recent ones, their miniatures are on like the little 27 mil acrylic clear plates instead of like a traditional base. Um, that's it's a pretty cool look. I'm just trying to build out these wings. I'm not a great freehander, but hey, this is slow and steady. Uh, so the game that we just streamed, and we're still, especially with the addition just changing. There's so many new rules, and we still miss so much, but it's not that big of a deal. Before and now, I would still ballpark for a full game. If you're shooting the shit and joking around and stuff, 3-4 hours. So it is definitely a full thing if you're playing the full thousand point game. But we were also talking to people in chat and stuff like that. So our experience recently was a little bit longer. I know once you kind of really get into it and you're just getting through it, people can get through games in 3 hours or so, but that is not us. That up a little bit, but that's okay. Not gonna lie, I'm not going for a perfect representation. I'm only just going for a general representation of the symbol. Yeah, it's funny. You always hear about D&D. You probably always heard about Warhammer. Um, and one day at work, I don't know why, I just we were talking about stuff, and I said, you know what? I wonder if there's a Star Wars tabletop game, because I was like, you always see D&D. I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then I just looked it up. I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I started seeing all the miniatures. I was like, oh, hell yeah, this is exactly what I want. Like, this makes perfect sense to me. Like, turn-based games, any of that stuff never really made any sense to me until I saw it in a Star Wars setting. Because, again, I'm like a big Star Wars person. Then it made perfect sense to me, seeing like a Star Wars thing. And then I was all in. I wanted to get the stuff. I didn't know shit about painting. I don't have the miniatures up here, or I'd show kind of where I started, and I'm still not great, but I'm trying to get better at stuff. But I think the first minis I just primed like with a rattle can in the closest colors I could get it. And just kind of roughly tried to add a couple extra colors, and it was with like your typical like craft paint, and they were not good. They were passable. I thought they were great at the time, and it definitely helped immerse in the first few games. And then as I started getting more and more minis and stuff, and then I found out about the speed paint, and it just like changed the whole game. It's more like a paint by numbers than it is like color theory and all of this stuff and knowing how and why and so on. So speed paint changed a whole lot. This is not great. Granted, I want to do it with a kind of a poor strategy actually. This is kind of where being kind of blind doesn't help you. Yeah, I never played that. I will say playing this has, like, Baldur's Gate came out not too terribly long, I think, after I like started looking into this, and that kind of helped me like understand and like enjoy that combat because of the whole like you're seeing something play out in stop motion almost. Uh, Kind of unrelated, but it has also led me to being interested in other things. So like these are all the War Crow minis. Age of Sigmar, I was kind of interested in visually, and then Space Marine 2 came out, and that like has really got me interested in 40K. But I don't have any local stores, so like just playing like that is kind of not really an option. So I'm kind of at the mercy of what the people around me are willing to play. I feel like I should just stop while I'm neutral, but yeah, I get that. I don't even think the one store, and I say my local store loosely because it's like an hour away. Uh, but I've heard them, people talk, and there's no real Legion scene there. But every store has got a Warhammer scene, it would seem. But and some of those models are so cool, and especially again after playing Space Marine 2 and getting to customize your own, it like Oh, sorry about that. That microphone has died. I'm in Georgia. And if I was a little closer to Atlanta, I'd have more store options. But yeah, none really here. The closest real tabletop store that I have is like an hour and a half from me, and even still, most every time I've been in there, it's just been flooded with the card crowd. So, actually glad I rolled over and checked. I don't know how long that had been dead for. Brown. Go with Fire Drake, why not? What I hate about these bottles. Doesn't seem to be any way to avoid this. I mean, I guess the way to avoid it would be to clean it every time you do something with it, but hopefully this microphone lives. Yeah, that's one of the things. Like if we go, say, if we wanted to go to like IKEA or something for some reason, it's like down toward Atlanta for us. But whenever we end up like far away from here in any way, whether we're on vacation or whatever, I'll like check and just see if there's any hobby stores, because I think it's just interesting to see other places. And we went into a hobby store in Pensacola, Florida. I think it was called Level Up Games, which we have one somewhere around here, but I don't think it's the same people. And it was the exact opposite of what you're talking about. It was like, man, I wish I had this store specifically. It's the only one I went into where I felt that way, where it was just like there was people everywhere. You could hear people like chilling, having fun, laughing. There was people at a bunch of tables. It was very much so like that inviting friend kind of like atmosphere. And that was the only place that I've really seen that, and that was Pensacola, Florida. It was a little shop. You'd never have known it from the outside, but inside it was fantastic. I bought a limited edition Grogu model that they had there that I think was part of the pre-order with Din Djarin or something. Check chat in just a second. I just want to make sure I get all this. Swap brushes. Go-to brush, but it does get a little fat. Just gonna let that dry a little. I think I'm getting lost in the shine of the paint. Really trying not to get this lightsaber. That is one thing I don't enjoy about the speed paints is definitely easier to fix your mistakes with acrylics. Because if I hit something with speed paint, it's kind of hard to get back to that color match. So. Tiny little speck. Yeah, I might have messed that up just a smidge. That more or less evens it out. Honestly, all of the store-bought minis I have not had any issues with. And my game stuff used to be in a concrete floored basement garage type space, and we've dropped them in there, and I've never had any issues. Now I have a resin printer that I have printed proxies for, so like the original stormtroopers and rebel troopers that I had that I wanted to keep intact. I printed replacements for those, and those break left and right, and I just super glue them back together and clean up the little frosting that happens if you put too much. But the actual proper models I haven't had any issues with. from any of the companies. Oddly, or maybe not oddly, the Games Workshop minis seem the most fragile. The Age of Sigmar starter box that I bought is the first box I've ever had anything arrive wrong or broken or anything like that. And it was some Skaven. Their feet were broken. So you think the biggest company would not have that problem, but here we are. I missed some black, but I'm going to worry about that actually right this second. And story for those of you that want to laugh at somebody. So this was the first GW thing I had, right? And this little nub on the back that's supposed to like actually hold the pot open. I did not know that, and then I opened it too far, and then I got stuck, so I had to cut it off. So when I got this, I was like, okay, well maybe it's a security thing. So people aren't doing stuff in stores. So I cut it off, so now my Nuln oil is very difficult to deal with, and it wasn't until this one that, yeah, that makes sense now. So you want to laugh at somebody, you laugh at me. Now I have a pain in the butt Nuln oil to deal with, which is just terrible. But you know, you learn. Yeah, this is what I have to deal with. But I want to go ahead and get Nuln oil on. Oh, that logo is just gonna drive me nuts. I need to center it. Just kidding. I'm not gonna do Nuln oil yet because this logo is just gonna be the death of me. I don't need it to be perfect, but slightly more even would be nice. Although it looks even, doesn't it? Alright, take it back. Not gonna do anything else to it because hands aren't feeling particularly stable today. Which I think after I do the Nuln oil, I'll probably go back and do a little bit of a like streaking, like scratches and stuff. So I need like a little baby dropper bottle. Actually, would make my life way easier. Add that to my mental list. I can get that out and put it in here, and then I'll have to deal with this stupid pot that I messed up. And this is going to make the armor a little less white and a little bit more gray. But that is perfectly fine. White's kind of a pain in the ass anyways. And I seem to deal in desaturated things. Which of course now the camera is not wanting to autofocus the way that it was. So at this rate I have no idea. I apologize for the shitty focus and the blocking of things. I'm not the best painter in the world. Certainly not the best painter under suboptimal conditions, like having a camera in the way and all that kind of stuff. I just think it's neat to interact with you guys while I do this. Trying to soak up some of this excess here. You know, doesn't always want to cooperate, it would seem. Oh no. Yeah, thankfully my dog does not get into stuff like that too much. That was one of the things that I was concerned about, was getting all the cards messed up. So I sleeved them all pretty quickly. The upgrade cards are loose, but I got a hyper tough. It's like a set of 2 toolboxes from Walmart. It was real cheap, and they've got splitters and dividers and stuff, and I have all the faction stuff kind of split into those boxes, and that's worked pretty well. So I've got a handful of those. Some are for other games, like I've got the Elder Scrolls Call to Arms. I've got all that stuff separated in there just to keep it manageable, I guess. Sure, this is supposed to be a quicker process, but I'm just taking my time here on these. I know I'm going to have pulling a little bit because I'm not being super careful, but trying to be a little careful if nothing else. Okay. I did kind of purposefully leave these legs a little dark on the initial Zenithal, just because they're low to the ground, and kind of wanted the focus to be up. I'm not super concerned with those being a little dull, but looking at this, I think this white, the known oil over the white, gonna get me exactly where I want to be. Now this belt, I don't want it all just to be the same color brown. But he's got so many browns on his belt. And also, if you guys enjoy this type of stuff, I am working on repainting stuff. If you want to hit that sub button or that like button, it helps me quite a bit. And part of me doing more of this has been because these types of streams have done a little bit. I've had some interactions, made it a little bit more fun to do this. So if you do like this stuff, do that. I do all sorts of random shit, so it helps me know what exactly people are looking for specifically. But I appreciate y'all being here. Nonetheless, you don't have to do those things. I'm just speaking it out there. I appreciate your time more than anything. It's gonna be silver, I think. Let me find that reference for the belt. Hold on one second. Doesn't help that this belt is not the actual belt. He's got like additional things on here. It is kind of all the same brown though. Let's go with these two browns. Let's start with this. Color I don't use super often. Has a little bit more of a red in that brown. I think I'm just gonna pick out a couple things on his belt. Granted, it looks like he also has these little copper. I think in the movie they're like a brassy copper color on his belt. But again, that I think that was in the Clone Wars, but yeah, white is pretty good. I think if you did this white over like a stormtrooper, it would be a little overbearing. So you probably want to do like a white dry brush or something. I was going to do this which might have buffed it up just a little bit. It is a pretty white color. But I was content with the base that I had just from the priming and stuff, so I didn't bother extra steps. So this is fine with me. What I do need to do, I kind of want to paint these little cylinders on his belt. They're like a copper color in the movies. A lot of my clones are pretty dingy, so and maybe that's just a habit of not being fantastic at making things clean, so it's easier just to make them dirty. Probably some mix of that. So a lot of my people are pretty, like, I don't do a lot of like sponging or splatter or anything all over them, but like he will get some like black dashes or something on his armor, just some scratches and things. Just because that's kind of what all my Republic people look like. I wouldn't say that these are copper, but kind of tempted to try this. Probably make more sense to be silver, but we're gonna try this color, this Talos bronze. If you hear a weird sound, I've got a little mixer off that you cannot see. I apologize if that's coming through. I don't think it does, but I might actually do a tiny little bit of known oil over this color as well, just to get a little bit of the recess shading in there. But I'm gonna go back. Yeah. Okay. Which we'll probably have to here soon. Just because this microphone can't possibly last too much longer for today. I did not charge them after the other day. Just want to get this, try to get this belt mostly done. I always finish doing the little silver buckles and details for whatever reason. Probably won't do that. And we'll just focus on his face and his lightsaber tomorrow. I'll probably come back on here tomorrow and do some more. Trying to think if there's anybody I want to repaint. I kind of want to repaint one of the clone commandos that I have, but I don't. I need to repaint a Darth Vader actually, because that was one of the early ones I painted, and I do not care for it, but that's all black, and yeah, I don't know. So this is a 1-to-1 speed paint. Satchel brown, just because I hate the dark browns of this range. They dry really gummy. I don't know if that's just me not putting them on correctly. Typically I mix them with a little bit of medium and it doesn't seem to change the color too much, and it kind of helps them flow a little better. I'm not overly concerned if this brown runs, because his little undercloth belt is actually supposed to be brown. Anyways, so yeah, it's my little foot. And my phone's on the way out also. That belt. Yeah, because I use so little of these, I don't remember where I saw them, but somebody made mention of these. I was using like these kind of things and just cleaning them out and reusing them and reusing them and reusing them. It was such a pain. So I just kept an eye out, and you'll find them like at Walmart on clearance. So I just keep an eye out for ones. Here's a nice fresh foot that hasn't even been used. Because you can get them for cheap, and they're just as cheap, if not cheaper, than these. And these, I mean, you can kind of see like this second color is already almost like a solid thing, and because these are made out of silicone, you can kind of just pop them out. You see that? So it makes getting these out relatively easy, and it works okay for like acrylic paints. I have a wet palette. I'm not super knowledgeable with it, so I don't use it a ton. Typically, if I'm using acrylic, it's something small, and I'll just get out like a little plastic lid or something like I use for glues and things. See. So tomorrow is my shoddy little shoulder symbol. So tomorrow I need to do the lightsaber, do his face, do the little tiny buckles on his belt. But I think I'm gonna do silver, and then I gotta do his face. But it's definitely a more realistic looking version than it was before. So that's always good. But I think I'm going to wrap up here. This microphone again has got to be on its way out. Get these guys charged back up for tomorrow. Also, the battle report streams, if any of y'all tuned in for that, I've got the second camera angle set up for the tabletop version, so you should be able to see what's going on there. I've got a network set up in that room now downstairs, so that shouldn't be an issue. And I've got some hopefully better microphones sorted for that setup, so that type of content should be a little bit better going forward. I'll probably do a some sort of solo thing, maybe going through this book, because this is a game I think is fairly interesting, and to kind of test that setup a little bit. But that will be a story for another day. We'll be live probably later tonight playing some more Throne and Liberty if I had to guess. I didn't stream last night. Just wasn't feeling up to it. But that is it for today, for this painting session. I really appreciate you guys joining me. I will talk to you guys later, or if you're here for painting stuff, I will be back tomorrow, probably around 4, 5-ish Eastern, most likely. So I will talk to you guys then. I appreciate your time. Appreciate you being here. Hit that sub button if you liked the content. Have a great day. Bye, guys.
The power of the dark side.